Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
Hey, y'all. Hey, how y'all feeling on a Thursday, Friday?
Friday.
What's
no,
up?
Thursday. I'm tired. How you doing?
I'm all right. Look, I'm doing all right. Well, I know we want to talk about what's going on in what happened with that Georgia shooting. I'm gonna get into that, but first, let's talk about what's happening in Texas. I'm gonna get you caught up with the Dems and that drama. So, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is escalating his fight against Democratic lawmakers who fled the state to block a vote on a Republican congressional redistricting plan. Now, Abbott has filed a lawsuit targeting a lawmaker he calls the ringleader and is asking the Texas Supreme Court to remove him. Representative Jean Wu defended his actions and accused Abbott of using the law to weaponize and silence people. More than 50 Democratic lawmakers left the state, denying the quorum needed to block the plan. The governor asked the court to rule by this afternoon, while the State House is set to reconvene again on Friday. So we will see if they will reach that quorum and those Democrats will return by Friday, but it seems doubtful. Now, Republicans, President Trump, Texas AG Ken Paxton, and Senator John Cornyn, they are also open to having the FBI assist in getting those Democratic lawmakers to return to Texas. Now, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, he's vowing to protect Texas House Democrats. Speaking yesterday in Illinois State Fairgrounds, Pritzker said Texas Rangers are welcome to visit the state of Illinois, but they cannot arrest anyone and take them away. Let's hear more from J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois.
There is no federal law that prevents the legislators from Texas from coming to the state and spending their time here and breaking quorum in the state of Texas.
It's important to note that his comments come hours after a bomb threat at a secure hotel in St. Charles forced the evacuation of 400 guests. The guests also included dozens of Texas House Democrats who left that state to stop Republicans from voting to redraw the map, and that would give them 5 more pickups opportunities ahead of the 2026 election. Meanwhile, the threats of being kicked out of office are not swaying Texas Democrats who left the state. This is the 5th quorum break for State Representative Trey Martinez Fisher. Let's hear those comments from him.
And I've done 2 under Governor Abbott, 1 for 6 weeks. And we've never heard this desperate tactic before. Donald Trump must really be squeezing him if he's going to come up with a desperate tactic to say that voters can elect us, but one guy can take us out of office.
So Martinez Fisher welcomes the lawsuit, saying he would love to depose Governor Abbott so he could ask him about his secret dealings with Elon Musk. Martinez Fisher is in Chicago meeting with fellow Democrats. His colleagues are also in New York and Boston. And speaking of Boston, do we have audio from Senator Carol Alvarado? Well, she spoke out about the issue. Let's take a listen to her comments.
We've all heard the term gerrymandering, which was founded here in Massachusetts. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Trump-mandering. Donald Trump picked up the phone, called our governor, and demanded new maps. And just like that, Texas Republicans sprang into action.
That's Texas State Senator Carol Alvarado. She accused Texas Republicans of doing what is best for the president and not the people. The heated political rhetoric has led to at least 1 threat against members of the Texas House Democratic Caucus who are in Illinois, New York, and Boston, as previously mentioned. And of course, Chairman Jean Wu said in a statement that they are safe, secure, and undeterred. Now, it is unclear when those Democrats might return to Texas, and the redistricting is being pushed. Is being pushed by President Trump, of course, again, as I mentioned, who wants those 5 more GOP-friendly districts drawn ASAP. So I'll continue to follow this story, but that's your 6 a.m. that's your front page news for 6 a.m. And you guys stick around at 7, and we'll talk about what happened in that shooting at the military base in Georgia. So stick around.
Yeah, Fort Stewart. All right. Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open. Again, 800-585-1051. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get back in some front page news. What's up, Morgan?
What's up is that, some 5 soldiers at Fort Stewart in Georgia are recovering after being shot Wednesday morning. That's according to Brigadier General John Lubis, who also identified the shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford. Now, Radford was stationed at the base and has not been in combat. Brigadier General John Lubis gave details on the shooting at Fort Stewart. Let's take a listen to his comments.
This morning, shortly before 11 o'clock, an active duty soldier assigned to Fort Stewart, Georgia, shot and wounded 5 of his fellow soldiers here on Fort Stewart. Thankfully, all are in stable condition and all are expected to recover. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel.
So, as mentioned, Radford was stationed at the base but had not been in combat. Now, Lubis says Radford was subdued by fellow soldiers and is under arrest. He is believed to have used his own personal handgun in the shooting, not an Army-issued weapon. And, of course, the investigation into this shooting continues. Meanwhile, President Trump called Radford a horrible person. He spoke more about the shooting at Fort Stewart in Georgia from the White House on Wednesday. Let's take a listen to Trump's remarks regarding that shooting.
The shooter is now in custody, and the Army Criminal Investigation Division is on site to ensure that the perpetrator of this atrocity, which is exactly what it is, will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The entire nation is praying for the victims and their families, and hopefully they'll fully recover, and we can put this chapter behind, but we're not going to forget what happened. We're going to take very good care of this person that did this horrible person.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
You know, it's interesting. He said we're going to put this chapter behind us, but that's exactly what it is. I wouldn't even call it a chapter. It's just another paragraph within a chapter of a never-ending book, right? Because there's nothing that's going to be done to prevent any of these mass shootings in the future. There's not going to be no gun legislation. They're cutting funding for mental health resources. So what do you do?
But on this case, like, what do you do? Like, you know, he's military. I mean, he used his own personal handgun, but it's like, you know, what do you do to stop a lot of this? Because is it mental health? Is it therapy? Is it registering something? Because you would expect
there's
him
no
to be
word
okay
on
because
a
he's
motive
military.
to the shooting, but investigators are not calling it terroristic as of yet. But there has been some speculation around him dealing with racism at that base. But again, that's just speculation at this point. So again, the investigation is ongoing. But to your point, what can you do?
And I don't know how long he's been in the military. I don't know if he was a combat soldier or not. But we do know that a lot of those veterans deal with mental health issues.
I thought I read. Right. I don't think he was a combat soldier. I don't think he was deployed.
Okay.
I think I read that or heard that this morning. So it wasn't like he was, receiving, that he was getting flashbacks or anything like that. It's just, you just don't know. When people snap, they snap. But yeah, I guess it's getting to the reason of happening, to figuring out before it happens. I don't know.
To your point, though, Envy, sometimes that can also be, mentally challenging for people to be training for combat, to be training for all of these, high stakes type situations, and then to never actually use that training. That can, probably play on your mental health as well. But, I'm not going to get ahead of the investigation and speculate too much. But yeah, we will continue.
Clearly, he did.
I'm not justifying it in any way. I'm just saying,
people
deal with things differently.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in international affairs, a meeting with President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Ukrainian President Zelensky could happen next week. That's according to multiple reports. Now, the New York Times reports that he plans to meet with Putin first and then with both of the leaders together. Trump spoke of his plans to meet with them when talking to European leaders on Wednesday after his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, held a meeting with Putin in Moscow. Now, Trump said Steve Witkoff had good talks with Putin in Russia this week, and when he was asked if there was a breakthrough, here's what Trump had to say.
I don't call it a breakthrough. I mean, we've been working on this a long time. There are thousands of young people dying, mostly soldiers, but also, missiles being hit into Kiev and other places.
Yes, so Trump has been pushing to end the fighting between the two countries, Russia and Ukraine, and has grown increasingly frustrated with what he calls Putin's inaction toward any sort of ceasefire deal. Now, he gave Russia until Friday, that's tomorrow, to agree to a ceasefire or he would place sanctions against them. So we'll see what happens regarding the ceasefire deadline tomorrow on Friday.
What Trump needs to do is call Dana White and let Dana White come in and Zelensky and Putin run the fade right there. Because the reality of the situation is the beef is between the two governments, right? But then, all of the, civilians of these countries get caught up in the middle of these guys' war. Let them run the fade right there. And, whoever wins, that's who wins the war game. It's over after that.
But you know what, too? Or do this, how they do the slap? The slap contest where they slap each other's face just 3 times and it's over after that? They could do that, too.
I got Putin in that. I got Putin in a slap contest. I got Zelensky in a straight up fade.
I got Zelensky. Zelensky, he trained. He looks like he get busy, and Putin looks like a little older. He look like you slap one time, he breaks his arm.
Bruh, Putin wrestles bears, bruh.
Yeah, you right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. But I thought he was a little sick. But okay, all right, you right.
That's what I'm saying. Slap contest, just straight up standing there, and you got to wind up. I got Putin, but in a fade, I got Zelensky.
Okay.
All right, y'all, before I go, my last story. More Americans are falling behind on their bills. This seems to be a trend for today's show. More Americans are falling behind on their bills because of student loan payments. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York's quarterly report on household debt and credit report released this week shows that about 4.4% of U.S. accounts were delinquent in the second quarter. That's up from 4.3% in the first quarter and 3.2% in the second quarter of last year. So the numbers are trending upward. The report says the rise in late bills is being driven largely by the return of student loan payments after a nearly 5-year pause. Of course, that took place during the pandemic, and by delinquent loans being reported to collection agencies again. So total debt among U.S. households also rose in the second quarter by about 1%. So to your point, the people are struggling, and it doesn't seem like there's any ease as of coming anytime soon. So that's your front page news. Y'all can check me out. Follow me on socials. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me at Morgan Media, and for more news coverage, follow at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.